Everyone in Northwood hated Mrs. Gable. She was 80 years old, smelled like peppermint and dusty paper, and had a glare that could, honestly, melt steel. She was the school librarian, and if you were even 1 minute late returning a copy of The Great Gatsby, she'd hunt you down in the cafeteria like a bounty hunter. 40 cents, Miller, she'd bark loud enough for the whole school to hear. Pay up, or the book stays in a system. We called her the warden. We thought she was just some bitter, lonely woman who got off on making teenagers miserable over a few dimes. But then, senior year happened. My dad lost his job at the plant, and suddenly, things got real quiet at home. I started skipping lunch because my account was in the red, and honestly, the shame of that denied beep at the register was worse than the hunger. One Tuesday. Mrs. Gable corners me. I'm thinking, great, here we go again. She slides a crumpled envelope across the library desk. I opened it, expecting a bill for some lost textbook. Inside was a receipt from the cafeteria. My balance was 0. In fact, it was $50 in the positive. I looked up, confused, and she just adjusted her glasses and whispered, the library fines have been reallocated. Nathan, now go eat something. You look like a ghost. It wasn't until she passed away 3 years later that we found out the truth. Mrs. Gable never turned in a single late fee to the school board. Not one. For 30 years. She took every penny of those fines, added a huge chunk of her own pension to the pile, and spent every Friday afternoon paying off the lunch debts of the kids she knew were struggling. She wasn't a warden, she was a guardian. She just knew that in a town like ours, kids were too proud to ask for help, but they'd always be willing to pay a fine to a mean old lady. Would you like me to adjust the emotional intensity of the ending, or perhaps write a version of this from the perspective of Mrs. Gable herself?